Welcome to today's deep dive. I'm your host, and I'm joined, as always, by our resident tech expert.
Hey everyone, really excited to get into this one today.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. So I want you, the listener, to imagine this. You have, the perfect idea for a local food delivery empire.
Oh, I love a good delivery idea.
Right. You know the best under-the-radar restaurants in your city. You know the customers are hungry for something better. And, you want a piece of what is currently a booming $1 trillion global food ordering market.
It's massive. Trillion with a T.
Exactly. But there is just one massive, seemingly immovable roadblock standing in your way. You are not a programmer.
The classic problem.
Yeah. You don't know how to architect a real-time database. You wouldn't know a user interface from a command line. And you absolutely do not have the time to spend a year and, honestly, a small fortune building a custom app from absolute scratch.
No one does, really.
So how on earth are you supposed to compete with the giants who already dominate the space and have, thousands of engineers on their payroll?
It's really the defining entrepreneurial dilemma of our era, isn't it?
Totally.
Because you have the local business acumen, but the technological barrier to entry just feels like this 50-foot wall. And in a space like food delivery, I mean, the technology isn't just a side piece.
Right. It's not just a marketing tool.
Exactly. The app is the entire infrastructure of the business.
Yeah.
If the app goes down, your business literally ceases to exist in that moment.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that is exactly what we're digging into today. We are exploring a highly detailed guide from a tech company called Enatega, and it's all about building what they call an Akelni clone.
Yeah, Akelni is a super interesting case study.
It really is. Just to set the scene for you, Akelni is a major food delivery player over in Egypt. They are currently going toe-to-toe with massive international and regional names companies like Talabat, Missoul, El Manus, Just Eat, and McDelivery.
Heavy hitters.
Very heavy. But our goal today isn't really to focus on the Egyptian market itself. We're using this source to explore the entire clone app ecosystem. We want to figure out what a clone actually is, how the tech works, the costs, and, why buying pre-built software might just be the ultimate shortcut for non-technical founders.
Yeah, and that broader context is just so essential. We are looking at markets where the competition is absolutely ruthless.
Oh, yeah.
When you are going up against established behemoths like Uber Eats or Just Eat, speed is survival. You simply cannot afford to spend 12 months in a development lab, trying to reinvent the wheel.
And that's by the time you launch.
Exactly. By the time you launch, your competitors have already captured your target demographic. So this deep dive is really about understanding the mechanics of white label technology and seeing how pre-built, highly sophisticated systems are democratizing access to these trillion-dollar industries.
So when I first read the source material, I realized I needed a mental model to truly visualize what we are talking about here.
Oh, I love a good mental model. What did you come up with?
Well, think about building a custom app from scratch, where you're writing every single line of code. It's essentially like building a custom house brick by brick.
Okay.
You have to hire the architect, the masons, the plumbers, the electricians. You are paying for every hour of labor, and it takes forever.
And it always goes over budget.
Exactly. But buying a clone app, this white label solution we're talking about, is much more like buying one of those high-end, customizable modular homes.
No, that's a great way to put it.
Right, like the walls, the complex plumbing, the electrical wiring, it's all pre-built and rigorously tested in a factory. You just decide where the windows go, what color the siding is, and boom, you're ready to move your furniture in.
I love that analogy because it really highlights where the real value is. You are completely bypassing the foundational labor.
Yeah, you aren't paying a team of engineers to figure out how to process a credit card safely.
Because that problem was solved years ago. But before we get into the financial investment and the timeline of buying this modular home, we have to look at what this technology is actually doing on a second-by-second basis.
Right. And before we even do that, I have to admit, I really want to push back on the terminology the industry uses.
The word clone.
Yes, clone. It just feels like a dirty word, doesn't it?
I mean, I get why you'd say that.
To a consumer, if I say I'm selling you a clone, it sounds like a cheap knockoff watch you'd buy out of the trunk of a car. Why is cloning presented in the source as this robust, premium solution?
What's fascinating here is that a food delivery service is not actually one single application.
Okay.
It looks like one app to you, the hungry user. But when you tap your phone to order a burger, You're instantly engaging with a highly complex ecosystem of 4 distinct applications that are all talking to each other in real time.
Wait, 4 separate apps?
Exactly, 4 of them. First, you have the customer app, which is what you have on your phone.
Right, the one we all know.
Then there is the restaurant app, usually sitting on a tablet in a loud, chaotic kitchen.
Oh, sure.
Third, there is the rider app, operating on the smartphone of a driver moving through city traffic. And finally, sitting above it all is the admin dashboard. This is like the air traffic control tower overseeing the entire logistical ballet.
So all 4 of these separate pieces of software have to be in perfectly synchronized communication.
Precisely. And that synchronization requires massive, sophisticated back-end orchestration. Think about the potential for failure here.
I'm getting stressed just thinking about it.
Right. The customer's phone drops Wi-Fi, or the restaurant tablet gets unplugged, or the driver hits a dead zone. If you tried to write the code for that orchestration from scratch with a small, untested team,
I'm a nightmare.
the chance of catastrophic failure on a Friday night is incredibly high. So a clone in this context isn't a cheap copy. It's a battle-tested framework.
Yeah.
You're buying a replica of a system that is already successfully processing thousands of complex 4-way transactions a minute somewhere else in the world.
Okay, that makes so much more sense. It's about proven reliability.
Exactly.
Let's actually walk through that 4-way loop because the source details exactly how this seamless workflow operates, and it's pretty incredible when you slow it down.
It really is.
It starts simply enough. The customer downloads the app, they search for a local spot by cuisine, price, or rating, they build their cart, and they go to checkout.
Yep, pretty standard so far.
And the payment options are already totally integrated. Credit cards, digital wallets, or even cash on delivery.
And the very millisecond that payment is confirmed, the complexity kicks into high gear.
Boom.
The user gets an estimated delivery time on their screen, but simultaneously, a notification pings the tablet in the restaurant. And here is a crucial mechanical detail.
Okay.
The restaurant doesn't just automatically accept every order. They have the option to manually accept or reject the order based on their real-time kitchen capacity.
Which, if you think about it, is vital for the business.
Absolutely.
If the kitchen is completely in the weeds on a Saturday night, they can just hit decline rather than ruin a new customer's experience with a cold burger and a 2-hour wait.
Exactly. It protects the brand. Now, let's say the kitchen accepts the order and starts grilling. The system's algorithm instantly starts looking for the nearest available driver.
It's all automated.
It assigns the order, and the driver's app pings. The rider receives full user details, the restaurant location, and the payout. And just like the restaurant, the driver has the autonomy to accept or reject the job based on their current route, their fuel level, or their availability.
And if they reject it, the system just bounces to the next closest driver in milliseconds.
Right. Finally, a driver accepts. The food is picked up, the delivery happens, and the loop officially closes when the customer is prompted to provide feedback on both the food quality and the delivery experience.
Wow.
All of that happens across 4 apps in under 45 minutes.
It really is a logistical ballet. So seeing how complex this 4-part engine is, the next question is the big build versus buy debate.
The eternal question in tech.
Let's look at the numbers and the timeline, because this is where the real value proposition of the clone app comes into play.
The primary argument against building from scratch is risk mitigation and speed to market. As we just discussed, building that 4-app ecosystem from the ground up takes anywhere from 6 to 12 months, minimum.
And that's if everything goes right.
Which it never does. That is a massive window where your capital is bleeding out to pay developers, and you carry a phenomenally high risk of launching with crippling bugs.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Oh.
When I was combing through the source text looking at the promised timelines for this clone app, I noticed some pretty wildly conflicting numbers.
Yeah, the timeline estimates jump around a bit.
Early in the guide, it claims you can launch in, quote, 2 to 4 weeks. But then just a little further down, it says 6 to 12 weeks.
Right.
And then in a summary comparison table right after that, it says 2 to 4 months.
That's quite a spread.
If you are an entrepreneur trying to plan a massive marketing push for your grand opening, how do you make sense of these totally different timeframes?
It is a great catch, and honestly, it perfectly reflects the nuanced reality of how software actually gets deployed in the real world.
Okay, explain that.
When they pitch that 2 to 4 week timeline, they're talking about a completely basic, out-of-the-box deployment. You're essentially just slapping your logo on the default template, plugging in your local restaurants, and turning the servers on.
So the absolute bare minimum to function.
Yes, but if you want your app to feel unique, if you want deeper customization of the user interface so it matches your brand's specific color palette and vibe, that takes more time.
Makes sense.
If you need to integrate a specific regional payment gateway that the app doesn't natively support, that takes developer hours. And crucially, if you want to run rigorous quality assurance testing so the app doesn't crash on day one, that timeline easily pushes into that 6 to 12 week or 2 to 3 month window. But let's keep our perspective here. Even a customized 3-month deployment is blindingly fast compared to spending a year in development purgatory.
And the source guide actually lays out an 8-step roadmap for that deployment, and it struck me how little of it is actually about coding.
Absolutely.
It's not just buy the software and hit launch. The first phases are entirely strategic. You have to run a deep market analysis to find out what your local customers are actually frustrated by.
The business fundamentals.
Yeah. You have to identify your unique selling point. Because if you just launch a copy of Uber Eats with the exact same restaurants, why would anyone switch to you?
Exactly.
Maybe your USP is that you only do hyperlocal independent restaurants, or, I don't know, you specialize in late-night deliveries when the big guys shut down.
And that strategy phase is the most critical part of the entire endeavor.
Right.
The clone software is just a tool.
Right.
It's a very powerful tool. But if you don't know exactly who your customer is and what specific pain point you are solving for them, the best technology in the world will not save your business.
Okay, so let's say I've nailed down my strategy. I know my customer, I know my USP, and I am ready to buy this modular home. What am I actually getting on the inside?
Let's pop the hood.
Yes. Does it come with the modern, high-end features people expect? We need to peek under the hood at the tech stack to see if this is truly scalable.
Let's break down the mechanics of the features across that ecosystem. In the user app, they highlight things like group ordering.
Oh, I love that feature.
Mechanically, this allows multiple devices to ping the same cart session simultaneously, which is huge for office lunches.
No more passing a phone around the conference room.
Exactly. You also have live order tracking and a really smart feature, order scheduling. The app can hold an order in the database and only push it to the restaurant's tablet so the food arrives exactly when you walk in your front door from work.
That is massive for convenience. And then looking at the restaurant app, the standout feature to me is the instant availability toggle.
The offline button.
Yeah. If the kitchen gets a massive walk-in crowd, the manager can tap a button to go offline on the app instantly. The app stops routing orders to them immediately, which saves them from drowning in tickets.
Moving to the rider app, the core feature is route optimization. The app isn't just giving them a map.
What is it doing?
The algorithm is actively batching orders that are heading in the same general direction, calculating traffic patterns, and guiding the driver to ensure the fastest delivery times. And finally, you have the admin dashboard, which features dynamic revenue management.
I really want to dig into that because dynamic revenue management sounds like serious corporate jargon.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
How does that actually work in practice?
It's essentially the mechanics behind surge pricing. The admin panel is actively monitoring the ratio of hungry users opening the app to the number of active drivers within a specific, say, 2-mile radius. If a sudden thunderstorm hits and half your drivers log off to go home, but order volume spikes because no one wants to walk in the rain, the system automatically surges the delivery fee to, say, $8.
Oh!
This does two critical things. It incentivizes the remaining drivers to stay on the road by paying them more, and it artificially slows down the order volume so the remaining drivers and kitchens don't completely collapse under the weight of the demand.
Wow, so it's actively balancing the marketplace in real time. That is incredibly smart.
It's essential.
Now, let's talk about the underlying tech stack making all of this happen, because the source throws around a lot of heavy terminology here.
Yeah, they list quite a few frameworks.
It mentions front-end technologies like React, Vue, or Angular. It lists back-end frameworks like Node.js, Ruby, or Django. And it specifically highlights microservices alongside heavy-duty infrastructure like AWS, Docker, and Kubernetes.
That's the heavy machinery right there.
Let me ask you this. If I'm just launching a boutique sandwich delivery service in my mid-sized hometown, do I really need enterprise-grade tech like Kubernetes and microservices? It sounds like total overkill.
It absolutely sounds like overkill on day one.
Yeah.
But it is entirely about future-proofing and survival.
Okay, how so?
Think about the front-end frameworks, first React or Vue. These are the same technologies powering platforms like Facebook. From a business standpoint, this means your customer gets a buttery smooth, instantly responsive scrolling experience on their phone instead of a laggy, frustrating menu that makes them close the app.
I hate laggy menus.
We all do. But the real magic is in the back end, specifically microservices.
Right. How does a microservice actually help a sandwich delivery app?
Well, in the old days, apps were built as monoliths, one giant intertwined block of code. If one thing broke, the whole app crashed.
Yikes.
Microservices separate the app's functions into independent silos. So the module that processes the credit card payment is completely separated from the module that displays the restaurant menu.
Oh, I see where this is going.
If your regional payment gateway goes offline on a Friday night, a microservices architecture ensures that only the checkout button fails. Customers can still open the app, browse menus, and build carts while the payment issue resolves in the background. The app doesn't crash.
Oh, that is brilliant. It isolates the fire to one room instead of burning down the whole house.
Exactly. And technologies like Docker and Kubernetes are simply about handling volume surges.
Like when you run a big promotion.
Yes. Let's say you run a massive Super Bowl Sunday promotion, and suddenly your app traffic spikes by 2,000% in 5 minutes.
Which is what you want.
Right. Kubernetes is a system that automatically orchestrates your cloud servers. It instantly spins up more processing power to handle that surge without the app freezing.
Wow.
And then it scales it back down when the rush is over so you don't overpay for server space. The source notes that this exact architecture is what allows you to eventually scale beyond just food. If your foundation is this strong, you can add grocery delivery, pharmacy items, or retail without having to rewrite your entire platform.
Okay, that makes total sense. You are building a highway that can handle 10 cars today, but fundamentally won't collapse when 10,000 cars show up tomorrow.
Perfect analogy.
So the tech is robust, the foundation is solid, and the platform is live. But how does this expensive, well-oiled machine actually generate revenue?
Now we're talking about the bottom line.
And more importantly, what are the hidden traps that could completely sink a new founder? Let's get into the business engine, starting with the costs.
Right. The initial capital investment is not for the faint of heart. The source estimates that purchasing and fully customizing this clone ranges from $100,000 to $170,000.
Yeah, that is a serious chunk of change.
It is.
And the guide breaks down exactly where that money goes. Building out the three main apps, customer, restaurant, writer, runs between $30,000 and $45,000.
Right.
Building the back end and all the APIs takes another $20,000 to $35,000. And just customizing the UI and UX, which is what ensures that buttery smooth customer experience you mentioned, is another $15,000 to $25,000.
But the initial build cost is just the cost of entry. The hidden, ongoing operational costs are where unprepared startups bleed to death.
What are we talking about here?
You have cloud hosting, which ranges from $2,000 to $10,000 annually, depending on traffic. You have payment gateway fees, which usually eat up 2 to 3% of every single transaction before you even see a dime.
That adds up.
Fast. And then you have API usage fees.
Let's clarify that real quick for the listener, because API is a term that gets thrown around a lot. What exactly are they paying for there?
An API is essentially a digital toll booth.
Okay.
For example, your app doesn't have its own proprietary satellite mapping system. It uses Google Maps to track the drivers. Every single time your app asks Google's servers for real-time traffic data or route calculation, Google charges you a fraction of a cent. When you have thousands of orders a day, those tiny digital toll fees add up fast.
So what does this all mean? It's like buying a luxury sports car, but completely forgetting to look up the costs of premium gas, high-end insurance, and like the specialized mechanic.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of the mechanic, the absolute shocker for me in this source material is the maintenance.
The annual fees.
Yes. The guide states that annual maintenance, bug fixes, and feature updates will take up 15% to 20% of your initial development cost every single year.
It's a lot.
If I spent $170,000 building this platform, I have to budget up to $34,000 a year just to keep the lights on for an app I already bought. What on earth are we maintaining that costs the price of a new car every year?
It is a staggering number when you first see it, but it is the reality of the software ecosystem. You aren't operating in a vacuum.
True.
Every time Apple updates iOS or Google updates Android, pieces of your app might suddenly break and need to be rewritten.
I didn't even think about that.
You are paying for continuous server security patches to protect customer credit cards. You are paying to update those third-party APIs we talked about. Software is a living, breathing entity that constantly degrades if it isn't actively maintained.
Which is exactly why your monetization strategy must be absolutely flawless, or you will just drown in overhead.
You have to have a plan.
Now, the source guide outlines 10 different revenue models, but looking closely at them, they really fall into 3 distinct strategic buckets.
Let's go through those buckets. What is the first one?
Bucket number 1 is monetizing the restaurants. This is the traditional method. You take a commission on every order, usually 10% to 30%.
Classic model.
You can also charge them monthly subscription plans for premium analytics, or charge them for featured listings, where they pay to be at the top of the search results when a user opens the app.
Right. And bucket number 2 is monetizing the customer. This is your standard delivery fee. But it also includes the surge pricing we discussed during peak hours, basic convenience fees to cover operational costs, and even premium membership programs like Uber One, where the customer pays a flat monthly fee for free delivery.
And bucket number 3 is monetizing your digital real estate and logistics.
Which a lot of people forget about.
Right. This includes displaying in-app banner ads for local businesses, or offering B2B delivery services, where you let a local bakery use your fleet of drivers for their own independent catering orders.
This raises an important question regarding your long-term business strategy.
Which is?
Which of those buckets do you lean on? The source strongly emphasizes that successful platforms never rely on a single income source. They construct a hybrid revenue model.
I can see why. If your entire business model relies purely on that first bucket charging restaurants, a massive 30% commission on every single order, you are going to alienate your restaurant partners very quickly, right?
Precisely. Restaurants operate on razor-thin margins as it is. If you squeeze all your profit out of them, they will simply leave your app or pass the cost on to the customer, which kills your volume.
It's a death spiral.
But if you lower that restaurant commission to a much more reasonable 10%, you keep them happy and loyal. You then make up the difference by layering in revenue from bucket 2 and 3, selling featured listings, charging small convenience fees, and pushing monthly customer subscriptions.
So it spreads the burden.
You create a diversified, balanced ecosystem where no single player feels like they're being gouged.
It is all about balancing the scales. You have to generate enough cash to feed the machine without bleeding the restaurants or the customers dry.
Exactly.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's quickly synthesize the journey we've taken today. If you want to build a real competitor in a trillion-dollar market, you no longer need a Silicon Valley tech team working for a year in a garage.
You really don't.
You can leverage the power of white label software like the Akelni clone, but it is not a cheap endeavor. It requires a serious capital investment of over $100,000, a strategic timeline of 2 to 3 months to customize and test it properly, and a highly nuanced business strategy to handle the brutal ongoing costs and balance your revenue models.
It is a massive technological shortcut, but it is not a magic wand. You still have to run a brilliant business. And honestly, that leads to a really fascinating realization about where this industry is heading.
Oh, where's that?
If turnkey solutions like Enatega's clone scripts are fully democratizing the technology, meaning anyone with $100,000 can essentially purchase world-class, scalable, microservice-backed delivery architecture, it means the software itself is no longer the main barrier to entry.
That is a wild thought. The technology is just table stakes now.
Yeah, it is a completely level playing field.
Yeah.
If everyone from the local startup to the global giant has access to the exact same cutting-edge, perfectly optimized delivery app architecture, the true battleground for the next generation of food delivery won't be fought in lines of code.
Where will it be fought?
It will be fought entirely in the physical world. It will all come down to who has the most brilliant local marketing, who can build genuine community relationships with the best local chefs, and ultimately how good the food actually tastes when the driver hands it to you at your front door.
The digital problem has been solved. Now it's back to the real world. So going back to that brilliant local food delivery idea you've been sitting on.
The one we talked about at the start.
Exactly. The world-class app architecture is out there waiting for you to customize it. The real question is, what are you going to deliver that absolutely no one else can?